Now let's talk more about the timing of severe weather for every single day, and we'll begin with what is happening today. We are mainly watching the Midwest for an increasing severe weather risk this afternoon. There will be a couple storms near Chicago, Milwaukee that actually could become strong to possibly severe early this afternoon, mainly looking at an isolated quarter-sized hail threat. Very low chance of a spin-up tornado in this environment. I think it's, again, very low. Even if we were to see a tornado, definitely going to be a weak and brief one. But again, Chicago, just stay on alert early this afternoon for a possibility of an isolated severe storm. Across Minnesota and Wisconsin and even the UP and Michigan, we'll be watching for some strong to severe storms to go up later this afternoon. I am watching for a large hail threat predominantly across this area. So if you live near Minneapolis, Duluth, or even Wausau, stay on alert this afternoon for a couple of strong to severe thunderstorms. I don't think there will be much of a tornado risk in this environment. Notice our significant tornado parameter values at 8 o'clock, and most of our wind shear is going to be confined to Iowa, Illinois, southern Wisconsin, and Missouri. And notice where the storms are at 8 o'clock. There's really none in this environment. So anything to the north of that white circle should be mostly elevated thunderstorm activity, as we have a lot less moisture and also a lot less wind shear in place. By about 9 to 10 o'clock is when storms are going to really start to ramp up from Kearney, Nebraska back towards Chicago. There's going to be a lot of storms that go up, and one of the reasons why is because we have a boatload of instability in place. Guys, this is 10 o'clock that I am showing you here tonight. There will be 5,000 joules per kilogram of instability in Beatrice and also near Omaha. This is unbelievable for 10 o'clock. You don't usually see that much instability this late at night, and so this is one of the reasons why storms are just going to absolutely explode around 10 o'clock tonight. So get ready. This is what's going to look like by 10 to 11 o'clock. Storms are going to become very widespread very quickly, with large to very large hail, damaging winds, and a couple of tornadoes being on the table by around 11 to 12 o'clock tonight near Des Moines. Anywhere really right along the Interstate 80 corridor has to be on alert for a really rapid increase of storm activity this evening. And notice the timestamp when this is all happening. It's going to be midnight when we have widespread thunderstorms going up in southern Iowa, and we'll also be watching storms over there in southern Wisconsin. So this is going to be a very impactful period where damaging winds, very large hail, and a couple of tornadoes are going to be on the table. There is a chance of a live stream tonight, so definitely make sure you're subscribed to the channel and click the bell icon so you're notified if we do go live. Granted, this might just end up being a lot of wind and hail, and if there's not much of a tornado threat, we probably will not go live. But I also recommend getting Max Alert, because if you are under a warning tonight, you'll get a phone call from me if you are under a warning. There is a link at the top of the description to check that out. As we go into the early overnight hours, these storms are going to continue. So if you live near Milwaukee, Madison, Janesville, we're going to be watching for a couple storms over there that could be still producing a damaging wind and hail threat, even maybe a low tornado risk sometime around the early overnight hours tonight. And then back over near the I-80 corridor, storms are just going to continue to basically sit in this environment. There could also be some storms that go up over near Fort Wayne, near Toledo, Ohio. These will also be producing some level of isolated wind and hail. And then by about 5 to 6 in the morning is when most of the severe weather will finally start to wind down across most of the Midwest. And then over in the Ohio Valley, any remnant storm activity will start to stabilize some of the environment here for Saturday. But assuming the environment is not super stabilized and that line of thunderstorms isn't as intense as currently forecasted, we are looking at a pretty large window for severe weather on Saturday across the Ohio Valley and the Northeast. And it's going to kickstart by around 1 to 2 o'clock Eastern time. We're watching for a few storms to go up near Chicago, back into Toledo and Detroit. These will be mainly producing damaging winds, as we're going to have very strong westerly flow. And so if we end up seeing storms here, the tornado threat should remain on the low side of things, unless we get a discrete supercell and we somehow get a little bit more wind coming out of the south. If that does happen, then we might have an isolated supercell producing a tornado near Akron or even near Pittsburgh. By about 4 to 5 o'clock, those storms will be impacting Pittsburgh and Wheeling. And then by about 6 to 7 o'clock tonight, those storms will continue to move down to the south and east as a cluster of thunderstorms. Elsewhere in the Northeast, these pop-up storms will be mainly producing downburst damaging winds and some pocket change sized hail. Indianapolis and Lafayette could be under the gun for a few storms tonight. And then as we push after sunset, most of these storms will begin to weaken. There could be a little line of thunderstorms near Boston and New Hampshire around about 8, 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow, but that'll be mostly just some gusty winds, isolated damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour.